What's great about being connected? Well, say it's Easter weekend and you can't find an altar boy to work your Mass. There's an app for that. And say you want to check on the age of your altar boy. There's an app for that. Then say there was an incident that you wanted to keep quiet for at least 20 years. There's a Pope for that. The new range of Vatican Touch apps, from the people that know touching best.
Hello and welcome to Hungry Beast. Coming up tonight, Law and Order. In Adelaide, the so-called Aboriginal Gang of 49 has fueled media and political outrage for the past 2 years. But does it really exist?
And one day, somebody will do it and there'll be 10 of this Gang of 49 found dead in the street somewhere. I think the majority of people, they'll let it go, you bloody beauty.
We also have a report on the new form of safe and chemical-free birth control that's taking the world by storm. But first, after missing out on the world's greatest job, Canadian YouTube star Mitch Moffat produced a musical about Melbourne last month with the support of Tourism Victoria. Get your jazz hands ready. Here's a taste.
Melbourne, the place to be. I know it's Melbourne, where the spirit's free. Oh, seldom can you find the chance to love, laugh, sing, dance, Melbourne.
Sure, it's super cheesy stuff, but Melbourne doesn't really need help attracting tourists. However, after Barack Obama postponed his trip to Australia, there is one city that could really do with a musical makeover.
I know a magical place where all your dreams come true. If you like space and driving in circles, have I got the place for you? It's Canberra, there's no traffic in Canberra, 'cause no one lives in Canberra.
Meet a soldier or a spy from Maceo, or High Court Justice Bill Gummo.
It'll make you wanna sing. There's nothing more exciting than
Hey kids, forget Disneyland, we're off to Canberra.
You might think it's Melbourne, but that's a big mistake.
Melbourne's a mistake.
You might think it's Sydney, but that's no harbour, that's a lake.
A fake lake.
Perth is kind of nice, I guess, and Adelaide's a yawn. But take me to a place where there's fireworks and tons of discount
Summer National Floriade ain't nothing to be dissing in a city designed by Walter Billy Griffin. It ain't so bad, don't listen to the rumour.
Among other things, it's close to Cooma.
Screaming and a shouting for
Canberra.
Still driving roundabout in
Canberra.
If you like filling out forms and stuff like that, it's a great place to be a bureaucrat.
Even the boss of the USA would like to come just for a day
to Canberra. We're in Canberra.
Questacon.
Yeah, it's Canberra.
Talkington Green.
Stuck in Canberra.
Civic.
Still driving around Canberra.
Telecom Tower.
You'll have a capital time in Canberra.
ACT is the place for me.
And if you were stuck in Canberra, we'd come and visit you. Peter Harvey, Canberra.
Stuff said this week.
We have shot an amazing number of people and killed a number, and to my knowledge, none has ever proven to be a threat to the force. US General Stanley McChrystal in a video conference to answer questions from his troops about civilian casualties in Afghanistan. The Huffington Post, 2nd of April 2010.
I'm going to go to the zoo and punch a kangaroo in protest. Alabama resident Bama Brock commenting online after our PM suggested comic Robin Williams should spend some time in Alabama before calling Australians rednecks. The Birmingham Times, 1st of April 2010.
We cannot allow someone to claim the right to look at others without being seen. MP Daniel Bakulane, who proposed a bill which is on track to ban the wearing of the Muslim veil in Belgium. Times Online, 1st of April 2010.
Is this the place?
I think so.
Inappropriate fun.
Politicians, papers and pundits love law and order issues, especially if there's an easy target for them to whip up public outrage about. In Adelaide over the last 2 years, one such media target's been an alleged Aboriginal gang, dubbed the Gang of 49. But does the gang really exist? Kirk Docker and Ali Russell prepared this report.
In 2007, the Adelaide news media exploded with stories of a gang of 49 Aboriginals terrorising the city with ram raids, robberies and high-speed chases.
We are dealing with a criminal gang.
The gang of mostly young Aborigines has been responsible for hundreds of crimes across Adelaide since 2004.
In the weeks and months that followed, if you'd been watching the media coverage, you'd have no doubt the gang existed.
The Gang of 49...
They have got all sorts of hideous backgrounds.
Surely this gang is a mob of terrorists.
This is about pure evil.
Tell me what you know about the Gang of 49.
There's no Gang of 49. They just made it up.
Andrew is a supposed member of the gang. He's just out of detention after being convicted of stealing cars.
It was mostly just all family, all the young ones. Get together with the older cousins and stuff, steal cars, do ram raids, stuff like that.
There is no leaders of the Gang of 49. It's just, it's been made up, this Gang of 49.
This is Travis Agus. His son Brett has been dubbed a ringleader by the press.
Well, when they come in, they say, to me, we're thieves, we're thieving and that, but there's no Gang of 49.
Detective Sergeant John Halliday heads up Operation Mandrake, a police task force that deals with the crimes attributed to the so-called gang.
There is no formal gang structure to the Gang of 49. There's no formal structure or hierarchy. So we would say that the Gang of 49 doesn't exist.
So if the police and those involved say there is no gang, where did the name Gang of 49 come from? On January 9, 2007, the South Australian Police announced a list of 49 young adults they were investigating.
The public safety at risk.
The following day, the Adelaide Advertiser ran this story.
The police at that time didn't actually say, well, we've found about 50. I think if they'd done that, then we probably couldn't have actually said the gang of about 50. Wouldn't quite sound the same as the Gang of 49, does it?
Colin James was the Advertiser's crime reporter at the time.
We, in the media, coined the phrase the Gang of 49. They were predominantly Aboriginals from 5 families here in Adelaide.
No one in the Aboriginal community is saying that there aren't a lot of crimes and that the people who commit them shouldn't be punished. What they are saying is that there's no organised criminal group. The offenders are not all violent and they're not all Aboriginal.
To call our kids and our young offenders a gang and say they're going out there doing organised crime, it's misreporting. They know that that title will sell more papers than if they just put 15-year-old Aboriginal youth, caught in a hit and run or something like that. Gang 49 is a seller.
Beneath the Gang of 49 hype is something far less sinister than organised crime. In truth, those on the original police list are predominantly teenagers from low socioeconomic backgrounds, linked via family or friends.
I don't hide anyone. I tell the cops, there, you can have them.
Fluffy Williams takes in many of the boys after they leave prison. Her family name features prominently on the list.
My house has been raided over 50, maybe more times. They think I'm the leader because I have these families stay with me. A lot of these boys haven't been to school, ever. Some of them can't read or write, come from rough families with alcohol and drug abuse in the families, but a simple, no parental supervision.
It's had a drastic effect on all of us. We don't want our kids in jail. We want them to be good human beings. They got good hearts, they just don't know how to be good.
Do you think kids are being influenced by the press, by the coverage of the 49?
Yes, definitely. It hypes them up. They think that they're famous. It's them against the police.
Many Aboriginal people we spoke to say it's harder to keep their kids out of trouble in the face of this sort of sensationalist media coverage.
Some of these people are the most evil in the world, and they're 10 and 12 years old.
Slime bags of the world.
Talkback host Bob Francis has been an outspoken commentator on the issue.
Signs of gangs to television.
He has a massive 25% share of Adelaide's radio audience.
It amazes me that there aren't somebody out there who just want to go out there and get hold of these pricks and screw their necks. And one day, somebody will do it, and there'll be 10 of this gang of 49 found dead in the street somewhere. I think the majority of people, they'll let it go, you bloody beauty.
Police say this list of 49 people to investigate is a figure that changes fortnightly. On top of that, the number and severity of the crimes vary from person to person. Yet the media label Gang of 49 applies to all.
Stolen cars, violent threats and terrifying armed robberies. It's a pattern of crime repeatedly linked to the Gang of 49.
The press has created this Gang of 49 and the boys have got in their head that, OK, there wasn't a gang before, let's make a gang now.
Tony Minicon is a counsellor at Adelaide's juvenile detention centres. He works with kids on the list.
I'm standing behind them one day and they were watching it on the news. And I went, we never did that. No, but when we get out, let's do this other place so we can get in the media.
I think that probably what it's become is a badge of honour. You know, I'm a Gang of 49er, and we've actually been quite conscious of that in the media, and we've really tried to tone it down.
Since the Advertiser coined the name Gang of 49, there have been more than 150 mentions of the term in various newspapers. Since this time last year, 47 have appeared in the Advertiser alone. Obviously, the press have run with this thing constantly. Do you think this has had a negative impact on the issue?
I don't think it's helpful, but I think no, sorry, not going any further on that.
Yeah, fair enough. While some of those already on the list are now embracing the term and the notoriety attached to it, what's more alarming is that a new generation is starting to idolise the idea of the gang.
I know a couple of boys that hasn't been in trouble. They come up to me and say, yeah, I'm 49 now, you know. Haven't even been in trouble in their life. They even got tops that says 49ers now.
I've seen them drawing, like, Gang of 49. It started to get into the kids' heads, you know, that it's real. They're only young and they don't realise that, you know, it's all made up.
Most of my little cousins, 13, 14, all brag around about the 49, say they want to join the gang. Just tell them to snap out of it.
There's a crime problem in Adelaide that police and the Aboriginal community are grappling with. But from the people we've spoken to, what's clear is that solving this problem has not been helped by the media's reporting of it.
Yeah, have we created a new gang? Probably have.
A survey to gauge the attitudes of more than 500 US television meteorologists has found a quarter of them reckon there's no such thing as global warming. Almost a third of the presented agreed with the statement, global warming is a scam. New York Times Online. Apple's much-touted new iPad application, iBooks, has reportedly censored the word sperm from the novel Moby Dick in its naughty words filter. The word dick, though, made it through just fine. Boing boing. And ferrets are reportedly being enlisted in the UK's broadband revolution to get into inaccessible places underground. The little critters wear special jackets with a line and microchips attached to help the rollout of cables through rural areas. Which is great news, except that it turned out to be an April Fool's gag by the paper. Telegraph.co.uk.
Inappropriate font.
Any minute now, there will be 7 billion humans on Earth. So unless we reclaim Atlantis or irrigate the Sahara, we're going to have space problems. The solution? Contraception. But where do you find a contraceptive that's widely available and doesn't break any religious rules? Marc Fennell might have stumbled on the answer.
Over the years, humans have tried many things as contraception. Chicken skin, cling wrap. Jesus. And according to a 2009 UK survey, alcohol made from stewed beaver testicles. But there is one little-known method that could prove to be very effective. Television. Behold, Italy, 2006. There's a sexologist named Serenella Salomini who's quizzed 523 Italian couples on their mating habits. She found that couples without a TV in the bedroom tended to have sex about twice a week. Now can we try that with a TV? That number halves. People who watch more TV have half as much sex as the rest of us. Just think about the applications here. Could this be used to help avoid overpopulation in crowded countries? Well, Indian Welfare and Health Minister Gulab Nabi Azad reckons 80% of Indian population growth could be curbed with the tactical use of television.
Where there is no electricity, there is nothing else to do but produce babies. If there is electricity in every village, then people will watch TV until late at night and then fall asleep.
But it turns out it's not just the amount of TV that you watch, but the specific programs you choose. And the biggest anti-baby weapon in the arsenal, apparently, is this. The Brazilian telenovela. If you've never seen it before, it's a bit like watching a soap opera on heat. At 8 p.m. every weeknight, about 40 million Brazilians are glued to these shows on the Globo TV network. And according to this report, telenovelas have seriously dented sprog rates. So the question is, how could something as hot as this stop people wanting to procreate? Telenovelas present this world of high gloss, illicit love triangles, paternity mysteries.
Mi papa?
And lots of high emotion. It's a world where you very rarely see children. 70% of female characters over the last 20 years have been completely childless. And in a country where literacy is low and newspaper circulation is limited, TV shows like this have become an incredibly powerful tool for changing cultural values. In the last 2 decades, as telenovelas have been finding larger and larger audiences with the installation of new Globo transmitters in new areas, it specifically coincided with a 0.6 drop in the birth rate, which doesn't sound like that much, but in a country of 191 million over 20 years, that equals an estimated 3 million fewer births than if telenovelas had never existed. So, with the world suffocating under the weight of human flesh, the important question is this: which Australian TV show can help us fight that breeding urge? It's probably not Play School, not with that phallic arch window. And who among us hasn't had their nethers betwixt by the sexual tension of insiders? My money is on Packed to the Rafters. There is enough kids in that house to put anyone off parenthood.
This was not in my birth plan!
Hey, it might be white bread, middle-of-the-road TV, but it is performing a valuable public service. Besides, it's got to be better than stewed beaver testicles.
Meet Paul Watson, founder and captain of Sea Shepherd, environmental activists who sail under a pirate flag against Japanese whalers. In 1970, Watson co-founded a committee to oppose nuclear testing in the Pacific. It launched a ship, Greenpeace 1, to protest at sea. It was such a success that the whole organisation took its name. But Greenpeace didn't keep Watson. In fact, it expelled him in 1977 by a vote of 11-1. One vote was Watson's. These days, it denies he was ever a founding member. A fellow board member from those days cited a desire to push himself front and centre, shouldering everyone else aside, as the reason he was expelled. Watson then formed a parallel organisation, Sea Shepherd, taken from the name of his own ship. In 1980, he attached explosives to the whaling vessel Sierra. The hull was blown apart and Sierra sank, the same tactic used in 1985 by the French Secret Service to destroy the Greenpeace vessel Rainbow Warrior. 1986 saw Watson claim responsibility for sinking 2 Icelandic whaling ships. For that act, he received a lifetime ban from the International Whaling Committee, the organisation which oversees the moratorium on whaling. IWC policy architect Sydney Holt criticised Watson. I think his involvement in all this is an absolute disaster. Almost everything he's been doing has had blowback for those who want to see an end to whaling. Despite this, Watson still enjoys a pretty impressive fan base, including Mick Jagger, Sean Penn, the Irwin family, and leading advocate of non-violent protest, the Dalai Lama. Watson has an interesting media relations policy. In his 1993 activist handbook, Earth Force, he encouraged activists to make up data because the nature of the mass media today is such that truth is irrelevant. Earlier this year, Watson claimed his boat, the A.D. Gill, was deliberately rammed by Japanese whalers. Indignant, he said, "It's a miracle no one was killed." Of course, the same could be said of Watson. He claims he's rammed and sunk 10 ships. Sea Shepherd merchandise available online proudly lists their names, though a 2007 New Yorker investigation put the figure closer to 2. Watson says violent acts are justified if they save the whales. When Greenpeace argued that his tactics against the Japanese fleet were increasing support for whaling in Japan, Watson compared whales to Jews murdered in Nazi Germany. It was this kind of attitude by Jewish leaders in the Warsaw Ghetto that resulted in the Holocaust. Last week, a Sea Shepherd crewman was charged with inflicting injury on Japanese whalers when he boarded their ship. Watson likes to say Sea Shepherd has never been convicted of a felony. He insists it's the whalers who are the criminals. That might not be the case for much longer. Paul Watson, the original Sea Shepherd, expelled activist, eco-mercenary, truth juggler, one man's freedom fighter, another man's terrorist.
Inappropriate font.
By the Lumsdon. 43 hours ago, classified footage of US aircrew firing on a group of men in Baghdad in 2007 was leaked online. You watch through the gun sights as an Apache helicopter opens fire on 11 men, 2 of whom are employees of the news organisation Reuters. Come on, fire! After the attack, a wounded man attempts to crawl to safety. The pilots wait for him to show he's a threat before they can shoot. Come on, buddy. All I gotta do is pick up a weapon. The leaked footage contradicts the Pentagon's official statement that coalition forces were clearly engaged in combat operations against a hostile force after coming under small arms fire and RPG attack. Come on, let us shoot. 1-8, Cage. Clear. Come on. Clear. Reuters had been trying to obtain this footage for almost 3 years, under Freedom of Information laws. I just drove over a body. But it was WikiLeaks, an online collective of whistleblowers and journalists, which brought it to light. WikiLeaks says it received the video from an anonymous military source and cracked its encryption. The Pentagon has confirmed its authenticity. So what is WikiLeaks? With no official headquarters, it's run by 5 full-time staff, with the help of 800 occasional contributors. It keeps no records and uses military-grade encryption to protect its sources and files. The site publishes highly sensitive government, military and corporate documents via an ISP in Sweden. In 3 years, it's released secret army documents about the treatment of Guantanamo Bay detainees, more than 600 confidential United Nations reports, and even our own government's classified internet filter blacklist. The public face of WikiLeaks is Australian Julian Assange. He says another video will be released soon, this one of civilian killings in Afghanistan. WikiLeaks runs on public donations, many of which have come from mainstream media outlets, but it has shut down on occasion due to lack of funding. A 2008 Pentagon counterintelligence report concluded that WikiLeaks constitutes a threat to military operations and US security. That confidential report was also leaked on WikiLeaks. $1,200 and a year's health insurance. The payment volunteer kidney donors receive from the Iranian government. Iran is the only country to have eliminated a shortage of transplant organs. $900 million. The value of the global trade in human hair for hair extensions and wigs. $25 billion. The total earnings of the world's top 25 hedge fund managers last year who gambled on the continued downturn they helped create with the GFC. Their profit earnings are an all-time record.
That's it for Hungry Beast tonight, but don't forget you can see more stories on our website throughout the week, including an interview with WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, as well as all the stories that you've made.
Last week we asked you to make a video for or against decriminalising drugs. We really like Richard Bruxner's interview with his kids about drugs and Ross Hipwell's video on the Pope's undies.
But our pick for Video of the Week, which earns $1,000, is Should Drugs Be Legal by Ian Anderson. Here's a sample.
A drug is popular among young bohemian people. Doctors warn of fits of agitation and depression, a haggard appearance, and heart palpitations. That sounds like some serious stuff, but it's a medical opinion of coffee from 1909.
You can see the full version of Ian's video on our website.
Next week is the last Hungry Beast for this series.
Maybe ever.
So if you want to send us a video about something you're really fired up about...
Or maybe you want to make a cheesy musical about your hometown, go on, do it. It's your last chance.
Post your video up at our website. You can shoot it with a video camera, webcam, mobile phone, whatever works for you.
Do it. Send the beast out in style. Until then,
good night.
Good night.
Coming up next week on Hungry Beast, we speak to Tassie locals about a plane's emergency landing on a busy Hobart road.
It was incredible. One of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I've just never, ever seen a Hobart road that busy before. And then the whole plane thing happened with that road. Woo!
And in the wake of the Californian earthquake, Haiti's top celebrities come together to help the victims.
Please give all you can. There are people in California with slightly damaged gazebos, and they need our help.
That's next week on Hungry Beast.
Inappropriate font size.